Continuing our discussion on social engineering, let's talk about technology-based attacks. Now, early on we said that most social engineering attacks were low tech or didn't involve any tech. And that's still the truth. It's not like we're hacking into a system using some advanced programming skills or exploits. However, there are ways you can use social engineering through technology. And these are still low-tech attacks. They might involve telephones, websites, and so forth. So it really doesn't require a lot of high tech to get some of these social engineering attacks to happen. So let's take a look at some of these. Some of these social engineering attacks use technology that's pervasive in everyone's life in order to target people and their weaknesses and weak security measures, weak operational or physical security measures. Now, obviously, the goal in technology-based social engineering is to get personal information about an individual or even about an organization, things that you could use against them or things that you could use to steal money from them. We think of bank fraud and so forth when we look at that. We also may have a goal as a hacker of identity theft, getting enough pieces of information about them to create an identity that belongs to them and stealing it from them. In other words, getting licenses or other identification that could be used to obtain credit cards, loans, and so forth. So identity theft is a big consequence sometimes of technology-based social engineering. Another thing you might want out of technology-based social engineering would be execution of malware on systems, kind of social engineering the person to execute a virus or a Trojan on a system so that it could steal data from the system or complete some undesirable actions. Another thing might be password and credential theft, stealing their passwords or user credentials to their banking website, to their system, to whatever. So these are just some of the goals that you might have using technology when you social engineer people. Users can typically be tricked into giving up information about themselves or even doing things on the system, executing programs and so forth, based upon emails and websites that are false but look totally real. They're totally authentic looking. And a lot of hackers will go through a lot of trouble to create fake websites and fake emails that might mimic banking sites, for example, or credit card sites or something like that. So you might get an email from a banking institution or what looks like a banking institution that's telling you that your account's been compromised and you need to go ahead and reset your credentials. And then it would give you a link that you could use to go to that site and reset your credentials. And obviously what's going to happen is you're going to click that link and go to a site that looks remarkably like your bank site and log in thinking you're changing your credentials, and it probably would allow you to change them. But what's really happening is you're putting in your old password and it's collecting that. And then the hacker would go to your bank site and put in your credentials and steal your money. Okay, it happens all the time. One thing that helps a hacker is that sometimes these technologies can be used in combination with each other. And this would lend credibility to the attack and add depth to it. So in addition to getting an email, you also might get a follow-up phone call from someone claiming to be the bank manager. And they might direct you to the same fake bank site. So sometimes you'll get more than one avenue of attack from a hacker in order to convince you that this is a real type of thing instead of a fake thing. They might use computers, mobile phones, voice over IP. There have even been cases of thieves using fake ATMs where people would come up to the ATM, put in their ATM PIN and card, and then the ATM doesn't give the card back and says it's out of money and it's broken and gives the user a false phone number to call. And then the thieves later come and open up the ATM and get the PIN and the card. Another thing you might see are false login screens, and usually this is a result of a virus or malware on the system that the user has executed. Some other techniques that we see that are related to technology include phishing, vishing, spear phishing, and whaling. Now, phishing, obviously, most of us have heard about that. It's where you get the email, it directs you to a fake website, you put in your credentials. Okay, that's basic phishing. Vishing is a variant that uses voice over IP, because voice over IP basically uses a network, and you can execute certain attacks against it that are very similar. You can get false voicemails that tell you to do things, or your voice over IP may get redirected to a different number that you didn't expect, and another person may pick it up. Spear phishing is where users from a particular organization are targeted specifically. And it may be like everyone in a particular company is targeted based upon information the attacker has about the company, knowing that they frequently go to a certain website from the company, or that the users may frequently get emails from certain people. So spear phishing would target specific companies and groups of people in those companies. Whaling, on the other hand, might be targeted toward specific people within a company, like senior executives only, or network administrators, or security people. So they're all variants of phishing in some way or another. And obviously, hackers can also use malware and get users to execute that. Trojans, viruses, fake apps on their mobile devices are even out there as well. And these are just some of the attacks in no particular order that a hacker could use and execute against people using technology. We've talked about several of these already. Cell phone hacking and social media, voice over IP, email, websites, fake pop-ups, that's really big. False virus warnings and false antivirus that you would click on to get rid of the false virus on your computer that really gives you a virus. Things like that, SMS messages, all kinds of things, identity theft and forgery. These are all technology-based social engineering attacks that attackers do use every day.